a dream.
Oh, yeah.
This is a historic event. Hell yeah.
And what show is this? Because I'm African American and what you want to know.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest?
And you're the first black woman to be on this show.
And what you want to know, because I am that.
How about that? What they want to know? Okay.
He's got the pics, the show's a kick, the guests are all a trip. So don't delay, grab your chair and stay, because it's time for Chris's picks.
Welcome back to another week of Chris's Picks. Folks, we're going to witness a reversion to the mean like we've never witnessed it before. In our league group message, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of beating of the chest of how much parity there is in the league, how even the teams are. I think status quo takes root this week and it lasts the rest of the season, but we will see. Before we talk about this week's games and before we get to the guest picker, we first have to talk about last week. My producer is once again out of town, so there's no fancy graphic. You'll just have to use your imagination. I went 3-3 last week, so I am 10-14 on the season. Scott went 2-4 last week, so the guest pickers are 16-8. Now let's talk about the games. Can't guard Jameis took it to team pending trade, and while there may not be freedom of speech in London, there is certainly freedom for Drake London to catch touchdown passes here in America. In a shocking upset, Gritty and the Jets defeated the Mahomies in a tight game. Quentin Johnson used to be known for dropping more balls than a high school boy, but now he's known for catching touchdown passes. Speaking of dropping balls, Hunter Biden's laptops continue to drop the ball this season, losing to Team Average Ho in a game that didn't wrap up until the final whistle was blown on Monday night. Christian McCaffrey showed off his receiving abilities, catching 6 passes for 92 yards and a touchdown to give Harry the win. Dixieland Dreaming took home the win against Team Takeout, thanks in large part to Josh Jacobs' 2 rushing touchdowns. Chasing More Pokemon continues to find a way to get it done after scoring the most points in the league yet again against the Chubby Dubbies. George Pickens caught 2 touchdown passes, and Dan, don't look now, but Dan is the #1 team in the Joe Dynasty. And finally, in our game of the week, Steven Stogies defeated Young and the Holeless that saw injury attrition on both sides of the coin in this one. Kenneth Gainwell, of all people, rushed for 2 touchdowns overseas while most of us were sleeping. You know, Europe may have the Ryder Cup trophy, but we'll always have good old American football. That we will continue to try to commercialize overseas, and so they can have it too. That's it for last week. On to the guest pickers. All right, well, welcome back to another week of Chris's Picks with the guest picker. We have Matthew Dupre in our household today.
Wow, what an honor it is to be here. So glad to make my return appearance since Dylan, and Dylan's daughter, I want to say Ashley L., some like blonde white girl name.
Christina, you idiot! You come to our house, you get my wife's name right!
It's
Not sure. Madeline. Oh, yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Not far off. Not far off. That's the type of analysis we're coming at you with today, in the ballpark. So I'm excited to get to this. I'm excited to see what you have.
I have been waiting for this since that last time. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I called your fantasy champion.
Yes,
correct?
you did. Yes, you did.
And I did call a couple of major upsets that I believe dictated who was in last place.
You also did that as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I'm just saying.
So, a bit of a heater.
My odds are good. I'm on a winning streak. Everybody in this place wants to get in on the action. How could I lose, right?
A bit of a heater. There's a bit of a history here. Let's see if his picks continue to hold up. We're going to start with Hunter Biden's laptops versus pending trade. So this is Jack LaForge versus Dylan Knight. And before we even begin, congratulations are in order. The Louisiana State Bar Association released their scores. Dylan Knight is Dylan Knight Esquire now.
Hey!
Several tigers in pursuit.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
So, which is great news for Dylan because he's got no chance in this fantasy game. That's about where
that's the only bar he is going to clear is the Louisiana Bar Association. I'm not gonna lie. Couple of tough breaks here for either team with injuries.
True.
Dylan with Evans, Najee Harris, Cedric Tillman, Jack with CeeDee Lamb. On top of that, an early bye week. You have some problems in this matchup. And I'm not going to lie, this is a tough game to call with so much uncertainty. But like a blind man at an orgy, I feel like I had to feel my way around both of these teams.
They saying I drove a getaway car, but I cannot see. I'm legally blind.
I think what's separating these two teams, Chris, if I'm being honest, is the depth.
Yeah.
The depth of the bench.
Okay, yeah, and no, I would agree with that because you look at Dylan's roster. I mean, you just start with quarterbacks here. It's certainly a mid-off. I mean, he's got Geno Smith, Spencer Rattler, Tua Tagovailoa, and Sam Darnold. I mean, this is the island of misfit toys for quarterbacks.
We're on the island of misfit toys.
Not a lot of depth at quarterback there, so I agree with that point.
I would also say that Dylan's facing some top defenses in his wide receiver matchups.
True.
The Bills passing defense, the Vikings, the Browns. That is a tough draw for this week. But also, Jack is facing 2 top 10 units for his running backs in the Buccaneers and the Lions. So I have to say, even with all the projections with Sleeper and the injuries, it is still a tough decision for this.
It's a close call, but Matt, I'm going to tell you what separates it for me. Rashad White has been fermenting on Jack's bench. He hasn't been able to use him much.
Wheezy? Is that you?
For that reason, I think I am going to lean Hunter Biden's laptops here.
I'm going to agree. I think Dylan is in for a rough week with Jack taking a well-earned win, led by a high-scoring Bills Sunday night game versus the Patriots. And if I may, if the audience will indulge me, I would like to offer, in addition to our crackpot analysis, a sports bet, perhaps, if you'll indulge me.
Let it rip.
Let it rip. Let it fly. Come on, baby, say it. Do you think I'm gonna cry?
I know that it's easy to say a James Cook anytime touchdown. That feels like cheating. So I'll give you more than that.
That's good.
Keon Coleman anytime touchdown.
Wow. Okay, so look, this is the second time this season we've had a Keon Coleman anytime touchdown call.
Damn. Here we go again.
Chris,
He's due.
I will make a promise to you before this video gets into the heart of the matter. Any bet I give you, I guarantee you the sum total of my bets, 500 or better.
Wow.
Personal guarantee. A Matthew Joseph Dupre brothers, all-time 52 Madrid, gotta love it, 11 children, guarantee.
How do I know you can deliver? You don't. But I can.
The next thing we're going to look at is Team Average Ho versus the Chubby Dubbies. So this is Harrison Das versus Scott Crabtree. And I'm going to say that Scott's a little bit behind the 8 ball here early. Christian McCaffrey already put up 23 points. Jaden Daniels back in this lineup. I'm really not feeling a Chubby Dubbies pull here. What are you thinking?
Well, first off, kudos to Harrison for building such a strong team. I'm not going to lie, when I was doing my analysis late at night in the comfort of my own home, dare I say maybe even my own bed.
Perfect.
I have to say this is one of my favorite teams in your league.
Wow.
There's a lot to like, strong running back depth. I say this as opposed to whatever retirement home Scott Crabtree is running. But I say all of this. Despite everything I'm still nervous for Harrison.
Really?
I think Scott has some incredibly choice matchups that could easily have his players explode for points. He's got the Chargers Commanders, he's got the Bills Pats, and the Miami Dolphins Panthers, all of which I think are going to be high-scoring games, which means a lot of points, a lot of receptions, a lot of yards. It's all about the talent. It's not about the snaps.
Right.
It's all about the talent. So if I may, I think I'm going to make this my Sunny Park retirement home, pea soup for dinner, life alert, upset alert of the week.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
So you're liking Chubby Dubbies.
I think it would be easy to take Harrison here, and it very likely might happen. Harrison will probably win, but if there are points to be laid here, I would take it. I think this is much closer than Sleeper would have you believe. And which camera should I say this to? Camera 1, camera 3, camera 2, camera 2? Harrison, be careful. Like a midget at a urinal, you will need to stay on your toes because I think Scott is right behind you. And in more ways than one, be careful.
I'm going to take Harry in the game. Scott, be wary about your star running back.
I'm happy to be on the other side of it. Like I said, if there were points to be laid, I would. If you're asking me, gun to my head, 5 bullets in the chamber, who am I taking? Between the two, I will be forced to say Harrison, but man, Scott, I do not be surprised if an upset happens, and I want full credit, or at least half credit, in addition to Scott's full credit.
All of the credit, none of the blame. That's the motto of this show, really.
Yes.
That's how I live life. Moving ahead to Steven Stogies versus the Mahomes. So this is myself versus our good friend David Bowe. And I'll be honest with you, this game was projected to be a blowout up until Thursday night when Kendrick Bourne had 19 points without a touchdown. The guy was just a target machine. San Francisco had a lot of injuries. So it's a bit closer now on the spread, but Matthew, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not liking my chances here.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
In hearing that, I'm realizing that this is maybe not as hot a take as I thought. But I was coming in to say, I'm going to give you a fairly hot take for this league. And I want this marked down for the record. I will stake my professional fantasy reputation, barring further injury or any act of God. David Bowe will be a playoff team, and I would argue a participant in the 2025 Fantasy Championship.
Wow.
Says here Jimbo Fisher, head football coach, NCAA Division I Football National Championship, Texas A&M University.
And look, as somebody who has a history in life of coming up short and also lacks a certain amount of height, I can appreciate what he's going through. But I will say, meanwhile, this other team, a Mr. Calder, ERA. Am I pronouncing that right?
Sounds like a loser.
Look, right away, I texted your producers and I asked, is this what's left? I mean, I've seen better attempts at lineups by blind kids after recess. But I was assured that injuries took over this team, and so be it. And you know what? For this team, it like a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, it's requiring you now to have to work twice as hard. And that is something that I wish you the best of luck in, not just this week, but for the remainder of the season. That's a lot of injuries to overcome.
It is. I'm glad you're mentioning it. Matthew, here's the thing. And I will be honest with myself. I agree with your assessment of my team. And in fact, I would go even a little bit further. I would say even without injuries, I'm not the best of the bunch here. I'm sure you've heard of the new Taylor Swift album out. And
have I?
Yeah, Dave has Travis Kelce. He has Taylor Swift's Beau, the fiance. And I don't know if you've heard this, but there's a slightly not safe for work song on this new album about Travis Kelce and certain body parts.
Okay, let's keep this G-rated.
Give me the Patrick Mahomes to the Redwood stack. I like Dave in this one. I'm going Dave.
Wow. Now, are these body parts that are mentioned for any of the body parts that are required to catch? Because Mr. Kelce has struggled in the receptions department. And if you're telling me that at the same time Taylor drops an album, he won't drop some of these passes like he's had a history of through the season, then that is news to me. But I agree. I feel like this is a clear-cut win for Mr. Bowe. I admire the Stogies for fielding a team and staying professional. But as I said earlier, at a certain point, talent wins out. Give me the Mahomes.
Moving ahead to Dixieland Dreaming versus Can't Guard Jameis. So those
are who again?
This is William Arnold versus Blake Eichhorn.
Blake is still in the league?
He is.
He hasn't been arrested yet? Good for him. Hey, shut up, Blake.
The rap sheet is clean. Wow.
I'm not going to lie. I was told that Will's modeling career never really has gotten off the ground. Also, his fantasy modeling has been a bit of a struggle. And so I looked and did a deep dive into this team. And I'm going to be honest. I know I glazed Mr. Bowe's team a little bit earlier, but I will tell you what. The team that plays David Bowe in the championship for fantasy this year will be Will Arnold's team.
Oh, that hurts me.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news. Fake news media.
I love his team. I think it's a well-built team with a high ceiling, especially now that injuries have taken hold. I think you have a Waddle as a clear wide receiver 1. I think you have, I believe, a T. Higgins that now is not injury with Jamar Chase, but with a quarterback that isn't going to force-feed Jamar like Joey B. I think you have a greater opportunity there, if I'm remembering correctly. I think Will Arnold's team is set up for success.
It hurts me to hear that because he's kind of my nemesis in this league. He's kind of everyone's nemesis in this league, and it pains me because here's the deal. I've picked Blake a lot this season. Blake has had a big turnaround from last year. Blake has gone somewhat, you could say, from the basement or basement adjacent to the ceiling adjacent. Unfortunately for Blake, he's had a bit of the injury bug. We talk about injuries for other teams. Malik Neighbors, Bucky Irving, out. Brock Purdy, he's got to start Cam Ward this week. So this is a really tough week for Blake, who normally I would pick, especially against a guy like William. Blake is fortunate that Addison is back in the mix here. He's fortunate. But unfortunately, I think that Will, despite his team being a little bit of a roller coaster, I think he's going to have this one.
I see a lot of tough matchups for Blake. Playing the Seahawks and Browns defense in multiple matchups. On top of that, like you said, you're forced to play Cam Ward or Brock Purdy out. Meanwhile, Will must be salivating like a fat kid at his first buffet.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
With the matchups against the Bengals, the Texans, and the Titans for all of his core players. I think this becomes a rout. And by the way, Logan, a rout is another word for a beatdown or a massive victory. At 1-3, I imagine you haven't had one of those, or you've been on the other side. But it can also mean like a football route. Dylan, a football route is something a wide receiver runs while attempting to catch a ball. Again, given your wide receiver core and record, you may have forgotten what that is. And if I may,
you may.
If I were Dylan here, the correct response would then be, Matthew, running is that activity that burns calories that gets you from point A to point B. You may have also forgotten what that is, but I'm Dylan. I got you. Dylan, I got you on your behalf.
Is your refrigerator running?
Yes, I think this is a rout. It's unfortunate. I love Blake despite his rap sheet. I think this is a clear-cut win.
Blake's rap sheet is still clean. We will not spread fake news here. I also have Will, unfortunately, and it's a damn shame because I personally do not like Will. The young and the holeless versus Team Takeout. So this is Daniel Augustin versus Logan. Daniel Augustin has been a system in years past in this league. He won the first 2 championships. He was our first repeat champion before Jack went on his tear. And you know what? Daniel has a system. When he gets in the draft, he has no idea what he's doing. And he knows he has no idea what he's doing. And somehow that aids him in ways that it will never aid anyone else. And the player I'm referring to is Cam Scadaboo. It's on Daniel's team. It was a first-round pick for Daniel this year. Everybody laughed when he picked him. It looks like Cam Scadaboo is a first-round level talent.
I would have, if I'm being, look, I promise to come on here and give you sound analysis and pure honesty. I would have mocked him just as hard if I had been in this league and saw that pick.
Say the line, Bart. I didn't do it.
I think if you started the season 0-0 this week with the team as it is, I think the Giants are a top 10 team.
Wow.
I don't believe you.
I think that bodes well for Daniel. I think it bodes well for Cam Scadaboo. I think he's a football guy. I think he's going to drag the young and the holeless across the finish line against Logan. Give me Daniel.
Also, Cam Scatterboot, anytime touchdown. Lock of the week.
I love it. I'm going to take it right after we finish this episode.
What's going on, Big Blue? Hey. It's 4-4-6 in a trap. Big dogs.
And yet, I must say that Logan has managed to form a team that, by all accounts, I think should win this game. Now, you may say to yourself, does having every wide receiver 4 in the NFL on your bench and having only 3 running backs on your team, does that equal a winning strategy? Probably not. I've seen more intimidating depth in my niece's kiddie pool, and like that kiddie pool, there are certainly a few turds swimming around on that bench.
Jake, what you doing?
But, Chris, I have a general rule in life.
Tell me.
Never bet on a team that is seriously forced to start Michael Wilson or Marquez Valdez-Scantling on an actual fantasy roster. However, give me Logan's team purely on the matchups. I think he pulls out a low-scoring win despite the buys and injuries. Cam Scatterboot anytime touchdown. Lock it.
I think you have a good rule of thumb. Every rule has exceptions. Every rule is made to be broken. So there you have it, folks. On to the game of the week. I'm calling this the Operation Bowl. This is Gritty and the Jets versus Chasing More Pokemon. So this is Andrew Amade, Dr. Andrew Amade versus Dr. Dan Edmond.
Yes.
And Matt, on the one hand, we have Dan, who is a radiologist. He looks at x-rays all day long.
Sure.
And on the other hand, we have a doctor who does PM&R, and none of us really know what that means.
I think I had that after spring break one year. PM&R, what happens is it's a crusty... Yes, I agree. I think it's 2 teams with coaches that give a whole new meaning to the word scrubs. I think the matchups here are interesting, and I'll tell you why. Amity has all but punted on the running back position, minus his James Conner injury and having DeAndre Swift on a bye week. But he easily has the best wide receiver core in your entire league.
I will agree to that.
So if he can suture that RB gap and find a huge plug for his tight end hole for a couple more weeks until Kittle is back, and he takes that plug and just puts it in his tight end hole until Kittle is healthy, I think you may see him rise from the ashes long term for the remainder of the season. But I just do not see him beating Dan this week. Too many quality matchups with too many quality players.
You know, Matt, I'm kind of in that vein too. I think you touched on a lot of good points. I think you've noticed the tight end hole. It's gaping.
It's gaping. it's a problem.
And I'll tell you this too, Matt. I find it very interesting because this is not just a show of who we're picking. It's a show of who people in this league pick. And I'm looking at Drew. He's been riding with C.J. Stroud all season, and really and truly, Matthew Stafford on his bench has been doing quite well. You want to start thinking to yourself, do we trust a guy? Would you trust a doctor going into some exam, whatever PM&R does? Would you trust a doctor who is consistently ignoring a quality quarterback on his bench and instead going with C.J. Stroud? I don't know if I would.
This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
Does the P stand for proctologist because of how ass his quarterback decisions have been and given the tight end hole? I mean, Amity, I say this with all due respect. I believe I'm not a doctor. I did do 3 years of bio before switching majors in college, and I took 7 years to graduate college, so you can call me doctor. I believe you took an oath, a Hippocratic oath, to do no harm. You are actively self-harming your team by those quarterback decisions, and I urge you, if you are going to self-harm, first of all, please consult a professional. We love you. We care for you. We want you to be around for future seasons so that you can continue to ride that last place spot. But please, look at a schedule and decide on a better quarterback. C.J. Stroud will not score as many points as Matthew Stafford this week. And Matthew Stafford could be on a bye.
Matthew Stafford played.
So he played. So now wait. So he's on a bench. He's now sitting on a bench with how many points?
22 points.
22 points scored. So that is your ceiling that CJ Stroud has to overcome. I'm willing to bet a case of beer that it doesn't happen.
I'm not going to take you up on that bet because I know you a case of beer, I think. But, our boy's busy. He's going to Commanders Chargers this week. He's jet-setting around the world.
Wow.
He's got a lot going on. He's got a lot on his plate. He's got to produce these videos. I get it. I think that Dan has done more with less.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
And I think when you look at a roster, when you see guys like Emmanuel DeMercado, Xavier Scott, Dan is in first place, and he's starting these guys this week, and I think he's going to win with these guys. Dan is playing complimentary football. Us LSU fans have heard that from our head coach quite a bit, complimentary football. Our head coach is a jackass.
You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled.
But Dan is actually...
I thought we were going to get through an entire video without that, but damn it, you're not wrong. Shout out to Dan Edmond for what appears to be a masterful working of the waiver wire through the first 5 weeks. He has earned that number one spot, and I think he maintains it through another week. Give me Edmond over Amadi this week. Lock it.
I agree with you, Matt. I mean, I think we gave the audience a lot to chew on here. We gave them a couple winners, I think.
Sure.
We gave them winners across the board, and we gave them winners in the Vegas world. So I thank you for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Now, I'm realizing that as we were going through, I was so focused on giving you sound analysis that I do have 2 more picks.
Please.
If you'll indulge me.
By all means. I'm going to write them down.
I believe we have James Cook and Scattaboo anytime TDs.
We do.
Keon Coleman anytime TD.
Okay.
Let me also add Mr. Ferguson of the Cowboys. Over receptions and over yards. He appears to go off whenever CD is injured for a significant amount of time. There's a trend there. I think that happens again. And also give me a Jalen Hurts anytime TD. In 2 years, he has never gone 2 games in a row without scoring a touchdown. And if that isn't a mathematical fact and a detail that you can take to the bank, I don't know what is.
So what I'm hearing, Matthew, is if I parlay all of these picks, I could essentially drop out of law school with my winnings.
Not only am I saying yes, I'm saying you should take your tuition for law school and put it on said parlay.
This is not investment advice. Gambling can lead to the loss of your capital. Only use if you have legal age and gambling is legal in your area. Always do your own research. We're not liable for anything you do after watching this course. For entertainment and informational purposes only.
Because if it hits, you're a millionaire. If it doesn't hit, then you can drop out of law school. And I have overwhelming evidence of successful people who have dropped out of law school and gone on to bigger and better things.
Some may be closer than we think.
Yes.
On this show.
Possibly.
Well, folks, I mean, that's what I would do anyway. Go big or go home. That's the second motto on this show. Matthew, thank you for your picks. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here and indulging us.
And yes. Shout out to your league. Best of luck, boys.
Same time, same channel. We'll see you next week.
Cause it's time for Chris's picks. 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 He's got the picks.